Alright, friends, I want to thank you for checking this out. It's taken more effort than I thought to try to put this together. I want to show you how to use a sonic charge microtonic. First off, we'll start up here. On the top of the screen is your morpher. It is my belief that when you go to the right, this affects turning your B knob on your tonic. If you go to the left, these are going to be all the variation areas where your A knob is going to be able to change. Now if you look down here, you'll see how these different areas change when we morph. So there's things to think about. I don't know how to reset this, the morphing. Let's try undo change morph, and now when we slide it, it still morphs however it is, so it's automated depending on what sound I picked here. So I'm going to try and find a consistent way to do a snare. I'm going to browse for drum patches. These are hi-hats and cymbal patches. Let's go by category. Snare drum patches, there they be. And we can preview these. They will come through once we select them like this. I'm going to hit play here. I got my tonic plugged in. How come? Okay. Alright, now you can hear it. Sorry about that. If I want to listen to all the different ones, I can scroll through them. Find one that's close to what I want. Do these sound like snares to you guys? I'm going to mute all the sounds except for this one. There's a sound in there that I liked. About right there. So let's see how the pitch changes it. Pitch is here. I got it backwards. So it's a snare drum. It needs to have a snappier decay. Turn that down. Okay, so that was the process I just went through to try and make this sound more like a snare drum. You hopefully were able to watch my mouse and see what I was doing. You're combining these two things, your oscillator and your noise. And between that, you get your tone. I'm hearing what I'm creating. That's why I got this playing. I know it's annoying, but I need to hear what the sound is. And there's so many things to mess with on here. Alright, so if I was happy with that snare sound, I would stop playing this. I would come and I would say, okay, but I'm going to put this on my button 2 here. I would get my tonic into receiver mode, and then I would click on this 2, and it would send it to my tonic. When I hit the 2 button, I should hear that. And all the variations I get when I use the morph functions will be transferred. If I wanted to send more than just one sound, if I wanted to send every sound that I'd built, all 8 of these, I could do that. But I like to do one at a time, so I'm balancing the sound. Want to make sure that it's not way louder than the bass drum, or way louder. I need to have an accurate sound of how dynamic I can be with the tonic, because you don't want all your drums just in their face like I do. So that's how you would transfer each sound. Like I said, I mute this by holding the control button on my keyboard, then hitting the M button, and it will only play that sound. That keeps it real simple, because if I select these different sounds now, I know exactly they're going to be playing right there. So I get an accurate sound of what they sound like. Go, and I'm going to try this one. That's very loud. Let's turn that one down, because we know it's too loud. It's got a nice snare. The snare has that great sound because it's got the pieces of metal vibrating underneath the drum head, and that gives like a sizzle effect, which is what I really like about a good snare drum. It's got just that little bit of sizzle that gives it snap and says, hey, attention, this is the dominant drum right here. So I'm going to change my attack delay times. I can change my pitch if I wanted a higher. Let's see what it sounds like higher, but I'll put more noise into it and less of that sound. See, it almost gets rid of the chirp. Higher up, it's too chirpy. We want it lower. And we want to get rid of some decay. Not quite as long a presence, but a snap. Alright, let's try this bandpass filter. That sounds really cool, changing through the bandpass. You're highlighting different frequencies and getting them louder. So I'm going to incorporate that into my morph here from my right button. I'm going to go all the way to the left, and then since I've already got the slider there, whatever I change this to is going to be where that slider is. But it also changed all these things, so it doesn't even sound like the same thing now. So I got to try and get back to where it's close to it. And everything changes everything, so this can be a little tricky here. Okay, back to the bandpass. just changing this bandpass on your noise, you can get a huge variation of different sounds. It's a very snappy sound, but now we don't have that metal. Change this. Every slider I've moved now, when I use this morph function, it's all going to be saved. So when I turn my B knob all the way to the right, it'll be giving us this frequency. Sounds a lot more like a snare now. So that's why I keep the sound to continuously play, even though it's annoying as hell. I want to hear how it can be different. That's a kick-ass snare right there. So we'll put that there. Now when we slide back across, we'll hear the big difference. It's going to go from that back to the original snare sound that I had, which was that. So that was, we got to turn down the decay on that. That's too much. That's a punch. All right, how's that sound? Now let's scroll between the two. That middle ground is always going to be a little bit different. You can go to the middle ground and then record, automating, doing all these different changes, and it'll save it for in the middle of it. So you can think about, I can change the volume when it morphs. I could have it be to where it's here, and even though it's the same sound, the volume increases in this range, just turning it that little bit, so I can control the volume level. Let's try that. Let's go back to here, the original. Okay. Now let's slide it over to there, and let's change the volume down lesser. So now it should get louder, quieter right here, right? So it remembered where I put those things. I'll redo it, make it a little louder. Let's turn on some EQ gain too. We'll play with that, so that will change. We'll also have, with the volume, we'll also have the frequency change. The bandpass filter. Let's try the high pass filter. Like right there. So let's now move it. Then we'll change it between that. So now when I slide this, it's going to go from filter mode, the bandpass, back to the other one. I guess it doesn't. What's wrong? Okay. So that's what I can give you guys today. Hope you enjoyed. There's a second part to this. It's a little bit trickier to try and show somebody how to do this than it is to do it by yourself. It's also tricky to do it by yourself and not try and video it. So I hope you guys got something out of it. Thank you.